My name is Valentina Soria. I'm 35, an Army major and a legal affairs officer. I got home 3 weeks ago from a 7-month deployment in Germany. The first thing I did was check the hall closet. The cedar box was where we'd stored it with the brass label written by my father, Walter, to Maya. When the time is right. My daughter's name is Maya. Mateo and I brought her home from the foster system when she was 8 months old. She's 8 now. For all those years, my mother privately called her not true family. The whole family stayed silent. What none of them knew was that my father, gone 2.5 years now, had spent his last summer preparing something only I knew about. He'd explained it to me on the dock of the lake house and told me exactly when to use it. 43 minutes after we sat down for Christmas Eve dinner, my daughter slid that cedar box down the table. The plane landed on a Sunday, with snow covering the runway. Mateo was waiting for me with Maya on his shoulders. She slid down and wrapped her arms around my waist before I could even set down my bag. "You're heavier," I said into her hair. "You're taller," she replied in the car. Maya pulled Walter's silver dog tag, the dented one from his time in the service, from her jacket. She'd been wearing it since the funeral. "Did you take him with you?" she said. "I know, baby." At home, after Maya was asleep, I went to the closet and ran my hand over the leather strap of the box. 3 weeks until Christmas Eve. My mother's text came on a Tuesday. Subject: Christmas dinner. Bringing presents for the kids. Sophia and Javier have something special. Maya can come too. Sure. That sure was in the middle of the text, like a stone in a clear glass of water. Mateo pulled out a thick, black binder filled with 8 years of documentation. Photos, screenshots, printed emails. Maya's first birthday when Patricia forgot her gift. The email, where Carmen called Maya, "your little project." Aunt Lucia's text asking if they had to bring the adopted one to Easter. The Christmas cards with everyone's name but Maya's. We have the lake house documents, Dad's letter, and the lawyer's number. I said, we just need her to be there. She'll be there. And so will we. That night I tucked Maya into bed. She had Walter's dog tag wrapped around her wrist. "Mom, will Grandma read Grandpa's letter this Christmas?" "We'll see. If she doesn't want to, I'll read it aloud in front of everyone." "What do I do?" "You give her the box. Your grandpa wanted you to give it to her." "What if I'm scared?" "You can be scared and do it anyway. Being brave is being scared and still walking toward the table." She turned the people blanks dog tag so the dented edge was facing up. "Grandpa was scared sometimes too, right?" "Many times." "Good," she said. I brushed her hair from her forehead. "I see you, Maya. Grandpa saw you too." She smiled her careful little smile and turned toward the wall. Christmas Eve morning. The snow started before dawn. I put on my dress uniform, service blues, ribbons, name tag. I tucked Walter's dog tag inside my collar. Maya came in wearing her red velvet dress, white tights, and black patent leather shoes, French braids, Walter's old watch on her wrist, set to the wrong time, because she liked it that way. Mateo was at the door, suit and tie, quiet smile. The cedar box was already in the car. We go in, we have dinner, we stay quiet. Maya gives her the box when dessert comes out. "Copy that." Maya waved goodbye and went down to get her coat alone. My mother's house was 4 blocks from downtown. Patricia met us in the entryway. She hugged Carmen first, kissed Sophia's hair, patted Javier, turned to me with a tense half smile, and looked over Maya as if she were a coat hung on the wrong hook. "Oh, you brought her. Sure, come in." In the kitchen, Patricia had laid out 3 small plates of cookies. Sophia, Javier, Valentina, no plate for Maya. Mateo silently got a 4th plate and put 2 cookies for Maya. From where I stood, I could hear Patricia and Aunt Lucia by the stove. "Pat, you don't have to bother with Maya." She's not true family. You said it best yourself. Patricia gave a little laugh. Lucia, I'm only quoting you. Carmen walked past with a platter and didn't react. The kitchen was the size of a hallway. She must have heard. Maya was watching the snow out the window. She had listened. I knew it by the small tension in her jaw. She didn't say anything. She bit the cookie on the edge first, as Walter had taught her. I waited. We had a plan. In the dining room, Patricia had placed a folding chair at the kids' table in the corner with a paper plate and a juice box for Maya. Mateo picked up the folding chair, without a word, carried it across the dining room, and placed it between his seat and mine. Maya sits with us, Patricia, as always. Patricia's lips tightened, then with forced cheer. Sure, more room for dessert. Dinner passed. As usual, Aunt Lucia told the same old story. David talked about sports. Carmen asked polite questions about Germany, none about Maya. Maya ate in silence with one foot on the box under her chair the whole time. After the plates were cleared, Patricia announced, "Time for presents." She gave Sophia a brand new tablet, Javier a video game console. They both screamed. Then Patricia walked toward Maya with a small envelope and handed it to her with both hands as if it were a ceremony. "Here, sweetie. Merry Christmas." Maya opened it. A cheap paper card with a snowman. No money, no note, just the card. Sophia looked up. "Mom, where's Maya's present?" "Sophia, be quiet. We have our rules." Unwritten rules, never explained. Patricia went back to the tree with a small velvet box and, kneeling next to Sophia, showed the table a gold chain with a heart pendant. "Great, Grandma's jewelry. Saved 19 years for my true granddaughter," she said. The word, true, fell on the tablecloth like a coin. Maya looked at her hands in her lap. Maya asked to go to the bathroom. While she was out, Patricia gave Javier an envelope with 500 euros. Aunt Lucia raised her glass. "Blood is first. That's how it works." Maya returned, sat between us, and received no more envelopes. Mateo squeezed my knee. "Steady. Not yet." Sophia was still touching the pendant. "Mom, why didn't Maya get anything? She's adopted." "Sophia, eat your cake." The word adopted came from Carmen's mouth like a stain on a clean tablecloth. Maya didn't look up. She was watching the candle flame. The flame tilted left, then right, then steadied. Sophia put down her fork. "That's not what cousins are." "I'm sorry, Maya." Maya looked up and smiled her careful little smile. "It's okay, Sophia." "It's not okay," Sophia said to her plate. The room became very quiet. Almost. My mind went to the dock of the lake house. Summer 2023. The last summer my father was alive. It was a Tuesday in late July, and Dad handed me a manila folder. A private trust. Lawyer Herrera drew it up. "Your mother doesn't know about it, Valentina. I'm not going to have many more summers. My heart is failing. I see what your mother does to Maya. The day you brought her home, I heard her say she wasn't her real granddaughter. I never forgot it. The lake house is in the trust. The sole beneficiary is Maya Rosa Soria. There's also an account with savings and the proceeds from my tools. Everything vests when Maya turns 8. She is my granddaughter in every way that matters. I will not let your mother leave her empty-handed." He handed me a Dax sealed envelope with, "To be opened by Patricia in front of the family when Maya is ready." I built the box yesterday. Maya helped me sand the lid. She knows. It's hers. I returned to the Christmas Eve table. I knelt beside Maya's chair and put my hand over hers. "I see you, Maya. You know what to do when dessert is on the table." I touched her braid. I stood up. Mateo silently activated his phone's recorder and placed it face down between us. Carmen brought in the apple pie. Patricia stood up and tapped her glass with a knife. "Family is everything. Walter, rest in peace. Always said so. Sophia, Javier, you are my heart. In this, Family, we give to the children we have. To the children. Everyone raised their sieve. Glasses. I didn't. Mateo didn't. Maya didn't. Patricia served pie to everyone. But Maya. Mateo silently got up and cut a piece for Maya with a dollop of whipped cream, all without a single word. Speaking of family, Patricia continued. Carmen, I've been thinking about the lake house for the summer. The rental has been doing very well. Last year we brought in about 4,000 euros in August. Mateo's hand tightened on my knee. Patricia was nonchalantly recounting how she had been turning my father's cabin into a rental property. She didn't know the cabin hadn't been hers for 2.5 years. She was monetizing it in front of the 8-year-old who legally owned it. It was time. I gave Maya the smallest possible gesture. She put down her fork, wiped her mouth with her napkin, folded it once, and placed it next to her plate. She got down from her chair, took out the cedar box, held it against her chest, and walked the long way around the table, past Carmen, David, Aunt Lucia. The floor creaked under her patent leather shoes. She stopped at the head of the table in front of table. Patricia placed the box on the table and pushed it with both hands until it touched the edge of Patricia's plate. She released the box, placed her hands at her sides as Walter had taught her, and raised her chin. The room was completely still. The fire crackled, the candles flickered. Maya said in a small but perfectly clear voice, "Grandma, Mom told me to give you this and you were ignoring me again." Patricia looked at the box, then at Maya, then at me. I saw her recognize the brass label with Walter's handwriting. I saw the color drain from her cheeks. "Valentina, what is this?" "It's for you, Mom. Open it." I didn't call her Mom that time. I didn't call her Mom at any other point that night. "Pat, you don't have to open it," Aunt Lucia whispered. "Lucia, be quiet." Patricia opened the latch. The lid creaked. The smell of cedar rose. From the box, inside, a manila folder with Walter's handwriting. "Irrevocable. Family Trust. Executed the 14th of June 2023. A second folder. Beneficiary Maya Rosa. Soria. An envelope sealed with a brass button and leaning inside the lid, a photograph. Walter, on the dock of the cabin. 2-year-old Maya on his lap. Both smiling, her hand in his beard. Patricia saw the photograph first, reached out, and stopped. She didn't pick it up. "Walter," she said as if it were a question. For a moment she recognized something lost in her face, then it hardened again. She picked up the first folder, read the first pages, came to the sheet with the first cabin under the heading, Trust Assets. She inhaled sharply and didn't exhale. "This isn't real." "It's real, Mom. Look at the signature." She looked at the signature, the notary seal, the date, the witnesses. She put her hand over her mouth. "He didn't tell me." "No, he didn't tell you." She read the deed. Transfer. Lake House. 360 acres. Transferred to the family trust on the 14th of June 2023. Beneficiary Maya Rosa Soria. Trustee Valentina Soria. Until age 25. "You knew all this time?" "Yes, Mom." She put down the folder, picked up the cream envelope, and read in a very flat voice. "To be opened by Patricia, in front of the family when Maya is ready." She broke the seal, unfolded the persons.com letter, and read in silence. Her face turned white, not pale, white. She closed the letter. "I can't read this aloud." "He wrote it for you to read aloud, Mom." Patricia was crying now, a quiet, ashamed cry, covering her eyes. I stood up, went around the table, and took the envelope from her hand. I unfolded my father's letter. I hadn't read it before. He had told me what it said. He hadn't let me read it. I read it in my officer's voice, measured. "Patricia, I write this in July 2023, the summer I learned my heart is failing. I have known for 40 years that you measure people by the wrong yardstick. You measure them by blood, by last name. You do not measure them by what they do, who they love, how they show up. I have forgiven you many things over 40 years of marriage. I cannot forgive you for what you did to our granddaughter, Maya. I paused. The room was absolutely silent. From the day Valentina and Matteo brought her into our home, you decided she wasn't yours. I saw you decided in our kitchen with your back to me when you thought I couldn't hear you. You said, "She's not true." Family. I never forgot it. Aunt Lucia put a hand to her mouth. You skipped her first birthday, her baptism. You sent Sophia a savings bond and Maya a coloring book. You told a relative you were tolerating her. I heard you. I was on the other side of the fence. David put down his glass. I write this because I don't believe you will change. I have spent 2 years waiting, so I have done what I should have done sooner. I have put the lake house in a trust for Maya. I have put my savings bonds and the proceeds from my tools in the trust for Maya. The trust is irrevocable. It cannot be undone. You cannot challenge it. I turned the page. She is my granddaughter in every way that matters. I let that sentence hang in the air. If you are reading this, Patricia, it is because you have failed Maya again. Now she has a home you cannot take from her. And it is not the home you think you are monetizing. Sign the audit documents, return what you owe. Look at the child you have refused to see. Walter. I folded the letter and placed it on the table next to the cedar box. Patricia said nothing for a long time. Then Aunt Lucia spoke. Pat, honey. He didn't mean. Yes, he did. Every word. Patricia went straight to the audit clause. It demanded the recovery of all income generated by the trust assets since the 14th of June 2023 plus 7% interest. Patricia had collected approximately 96,000 euros in 80 weeks of rent. With interest, the figure was about 103,000 euros. She read the clause twice. She closed the folder. She stood up so quickly that the chair hit the wall. She had the Manis wine glass in her hand. She didn't seem to remember she had it. Her grip tightened. The glass cracked. A drop of wine ran down her wrist. He gave her the cabin. Then she made the sound. A brief, sharp, unique scream, the sound of someone stumbling. Aunt Lucia stood up. Pat, it's okay. We'll find a lawyer. She's not true family, Pat. You said it best yourself. The phrase fell into the room a second time that night, but this time the room was paying attention. Sophia covered her mouth with both hands. David turned to his wife with the face of a man who has just realized he's been at the wrong dinner for 10 years. Patricia slowly turned to her sister. Lucia, be quiet. Aunt Lucia had never heard that tone. Have to. I looked at Maya, still standing firm next to Patricia's chair, hands at her sides, chin raised. She hadn't moved during the whole reading, hadn't flinched at either scream. I looked at my daughter and felt something my father probably wanted me to feel. Maya, honey, come sit with me. She walked the long way back around the table. Aunt Lucia didn't look at her. Patricia didn't look at her. Carmen followed her with her eyes every step of the way. 8 years of Christmas dinners flashed across Carmen's face. Carmen's face wrinkled at the corners for just a second. Then she looked down at her plate. Maya sat between Matteo and me. Matteo put his hand on her shoulder. Maya put her hand on his. I stood up slowly, centered, both feet planted. The voice that means there's nothing improvised here. Mom, let me explain. The family trust is irrevocable. It was executed by Dad on the 14th of June 2023, duly notarized and witnessed. The sole beneficiary is Maya Rosa Soria. The assets include the lake house, 360 acres, 80,000 euros in treasury bonds, and the proceeds from the sale of Dad's tools. The cabin became property of the trust on the date of Dad's death, the 22nd of October 2023. From that date, you were not the owner. You had no legal authority to rent it or keep the income. The audit figure is approximately 103,000 euros. The audit begins on January 7. I'm not the one asking for the money, Mom. It's the trust. I'm the messenger. You knew all this time? You let me steal from a child? No, Mom, I let you choose every month. Every Christmas I let you choose. What does that mean? You had 2.5 years to be Dad's wife. You kept choosing the rentals instead of his granddaughter. Patricia placed her hands flat on the Jankperud table and leaned over them. You left me, your own mother. I let my mother be my mother until she stopped being my mother to my daughter. Then I let her be exactly what she chose to be. She made the second sound, bigger than the first, a real scream low in her throat, born of pain and not rage. She covered her face with both hands. Maya watched her without fear. It wasn't satisfaction on her face. It was, I think, the beginning of understanding. I went around the table to Maya. I knelt beside her chair and brushed her braid. I see you, Maya. Grandpa saw me too. Yes, honey, he did. Mateo was already standing. He helped Maya with her coat, picked up the cedar box, and put Walter's letter in his inner pocket. I turned to the table one last time. Patricia, the cabin will be empty, and the keys returned by July 1. The audit is January 7. Lucia, do not call for any reason. Do not write. Do not show up. Carmen, when Sophia wants to write to Maya someday, she can. That's between them. Until then, you don't write. Or call. I grabbed my coat. I took Maya's small hand. The three of us walked to the door. The brass bell jingled as we left. We went out into the snow. The car started slowly in the cold. Maya was in her seat, the cedar box on her knees, her hand flat on the lid. Patricia's house grew smaller in the rearview mirror. None of us looked back. After about 10 minutes, Maya said, Mom, will Grandma write? Probably not, honey. Good. Silence. The heat reached the back seat. I like the cabin. Good. We'll go next summer. The wipers kept time. Mom, can I bring my friend Teresa to the cabin? I laughed. It was the first time I'd laughed in 3 weeks, more than I expected, and I had to wipe my eyes. Yes, honey, it's your cabin. You can bring anyone you want. It's our cabin, she said. Yes, honey, it's ours. She rested her cheek against the cedar box and closed her eyes. By the time we reached the highway, she was asleep with her hand still flat on the lid. Mateo took my hand. We said nothing else for the rest of the ride. March came hard. Patricia paid 103,000 euros to the trust. Carmen sent me a one-sentence email. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. Aunt Lucia disappeared from the message group. David thanked me. I told him to thank Maya. Sophia sent Maya a handmade Easter card, pink paper, 2 girls holding hands, a note that read, I miss you. Maya replied with a short, kind letter signed with a little heart. The cedar box now lives on our mantelpiece. Walter's dog. Tag rests on top, the dented edge facing up. Maya is 9. The cabin opens in May. She has invited Teresa, Sophia, and her friend Andres. Mateo is sanding the dock on weekends. Last month I was selected for promotion to lieutenant colonel. I learned one thing from my father. Family is not a line drawn in blood, it's a chair you put at the table every time. Even if others pretend the chair isn't. There, that's my story. A cedar box, a father who saw clearly, and an 8-year-old who knew exactly what to do. If this story reminded you that you need to put the corde chair out, put it out tonight. Share it with whoever needs it. Leave me a fakes.org. Comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next story from Pro Revenge Stories.